All right, here we go. Episode number 11 of
The Handbag Husband.
The Handbag Husband. Yay! So today, I think one thing that we want to talk about, and at least to me, I think it's one of the most important aspects of the Hermès experience and being able to get Hermès bags like the Kellys and the Birkins. And it's really one of the most challenging aspects of building that relationship with the brand as a whole, which is to how to figure out how to ensure you have a good relationship with your SA and how to choose an SA, as they are not only the gatekeeper for basically everything, but they're also kind of your advocate. Those folks who get to work on the inside of the Hermès internal system, whatever kind of weird cage match they got going on behind doors, to figure out who does actually get those quota bags and who has to keep waiting, sometimes in perpetuity. Because the reality is there is no way to actually get a unused, unpre-purchased Hermès bag without going through an SA. There's just not a way to do it. So they're vitally important, and choosing one is equally as important, because you're not going to get those bags unless you get a stamp of approval from at least one SA. So today on the Handbag Husband & Co., we are going to be talking about, and we've really gone round and round with how to choose the right SA to create the most conducive environment to, of course, getting one of those quota bags. Now, before we get to the video, if you like these videos, if you like the bag candy footage that we put out, if you like the handbag conversations overall, and if you like, just kind of join on with us as we have these weekly conversations. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really does help the channel to grow. And again, we are so thankful for that.
Thank you.
But also, it helps us to continue to make great content and to help the channel grow and to help everything get better and better as we move along. So if you have not done already, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And if you hit those notification buttons, you'll get updates when our newest videos come out. All right, now, let's get down to the video. All right, so as we've already established, and as probably you already know, who you work with at Hermès, your sales associate or an SA, really is the key to the door to getting anything, whether it's a Kelly, whether it's a Birkin, whether it's a Constance, really anything is going to be subject to the approval of those SAs. So they're super duper important, integral parts of the whole process, and can really kind of make or break your day when you go into the boutique. If you have an SA who maybe you're not really kind of vibing with, that can put you in kind of a tough situation. So I guess the biggest thing that we're going to talk about today is, what do you look for in getting an SA? And for us, uniquely to us, because we went to an Hermès store right when it opened, it just, fresh out of the box, fresh off the boat, we had an interesting way of actually being able to choose an SA that doesn't really have any history with anybody that much here in our area. But overall, when you look at an SA, what are some of the things that you look for specifically in an SA?
A name tag.
A name tag. So they have to have a name tag.
Not a name tag per se, but the appearances. We make so much fun of, like, oh, if that person wear a sneaker, or AKA that person is a runner. Yeah. Right? That person might not have had years of experience at that location. Yeah. Or you can tell, like, how new is this person has been working at this location. So you want to kind of like look for that. So signs of like seniority. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not talking about experience. I'm not talking about age-wise, but I'm talking about, like, there will be some kind of like a telltale sign. This person know what they're doing. They've been with the brand for quite some time. Yeah. So that's what we know they go for. I mean, I think those are definitely some of them. First glance. That's first glance. First glance, like, which one do you want? Like, which one? Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think that's part of the calculation. Sure. I mean, I think the other questions is when you're looking for someone. I mean, people like people who are like themselves, right? That's the cliche that goes with it. Sure. So the question is, do you feel like you would need to find an SA who's very similar to you as much as possible, or something different? I mean, do they need to be, say, for example, the same gender, right? Sure. Would you feel different if your SA was male or female? No, I don't think so. But I think not all of our SAs are females. But I have noticed, if you go there, you personally go there by yourself, almost 50% you will get a male. It's 50-50. Yeah, 50-50. Yeah, it is 50-50. But with us, I think it's like more female than male. Like, I will tell you, in general, I prefer a female. I prefer a female SA, just because the interaction is different. It feels less combative, I guess, when it's male and male. Yeah.
Right? And not that there's a difference as far as likelihood of getting a bag or anything like that, but I just feel like the interaction is less combative.
Sure.
Where I feel like when I have a female SA, they will take the energy and kind of like reverse it back on me, right? Whereas males will just be like, no, right? And so I like that energy a little bit different. How about as far as like characteristics? Do you find someone who is
not as aggressive, because I'm not aggressive.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm direct,
Yeah.
but I'm not aggressive.
Yeah.
So I would want someone to be kind of in the same realm. It doesn't have to be like they don't. Obviously, they are sales.
Yeah.
They're not gonna have my personality, 'cause otherwise
they starve. Yeah. Otherwise they starve.
So, but yeah, it has to be somewhat understanding of my character, like characteristics. AKA, like I'm not aggressive. I'm not like, oh, let's like hype up. I'm not those people. Because you see many of the MSSA are like that.
Yeah, some of them get pretty like, they're just so energetic and like hypey.
I just cannot.
Yeah.
Even with like 2 coffees, I'm still not.
Yeah.
I cannot go to that level. And so I might feel intimidated by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't, again, male, female, I don't think it's necessary, but maybe female I might be able to find something more in common to talk about.
I think that's
to feel the dead air. Sometimes we have like dead air. It's like, okay, we're just like staring and know what to do. Yeah.
Well, that kind of brings me to one of the things that I think is really important, and I think that maybe there's not a lot of conversation about it, but the reality is that I look for folks who are most similar to myself, right? Things that you can build a rapport with, things that have similarities in that way. And so I think sometimes when I find somebody who is from maybe a culture or even perhaps a race that I'm not familiar with, it's sometimes difficult to connect with it. So when I look at an SA, I look for someone who's brown, I guess. I don't know how to say that. I look for someone who's sort of within the same kind of genre of culture and understanding, because you can build that rapport and have those moments and those mutual understandings.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm saying, would you feel uncomfortable if we had someone who wasn't, for example, of the same race that somebody else is? Or in my case, I'm mixed race. So.
I don't think I mind.
Oh, really?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters.
Okay. Yeah. I think.
If you are working, again, MS with luxury.
Yeah.
Luxury items, they always have some kind of sort of thing in common, so like in the luxury products world. You know? So I don't think it's be that much difficult if the person is different race than me. Yeah.
I mean, you see it with Hermès, though. I mean, Hermès hires people.
Correct.
They hire a lot of Chinese speakers, for sure.
Definitely.
Right? They hire, it seems like a reasonable amount of like Eastern European folks as well.
Yeah.
And then they have like normal SAs as well. So I don't know, when I look for it, and this will get to our next section as far as the grand opening, because we're starting from scratch. So oftentimes when you go into the boutique, you're assigned an SA,
yeah, so
right?
that one is just you cannot really do anything about it. Yeah.
And there'll be moments where you should break up with those SAs, and we'll talk about that too. But I think for us, that first time, and by us I mean in the royal sense, me particularly, it was an interesting situation where the grand opening was at, because they opened up the doors and said, choose whomever you'd like.
Yeah.
Right? And so at that moment, you're like, oh, is this person, you're starting to sort very quickly. Like, is this person like me?
It's like speed dating.
It's almost like speed dating.
Dating,
Yeah, it's like swiping left or right, but in person. Right? And so you're like, this person, no. This person, no.
Yeah.
Right? Do they have the comfortable shoes on?
Again, doesn't mean that person is not good.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Can I connect with this person?
Correct.
Because
100%.
Again, it's a frigging relationship.
Yeah. I mean, people are amazing in general. Overall, I believe that people are great overall. That's fine. But as far as developing that relationship and having a connectivity, and also having those things that we were just about to talk about,
and you need to make sure that person can connect to me too, not
That's
just
right.
you. So
Yes.
it's like,
you
need to, there's 2 categories.
Because it's a package deal. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So so the grand opening, like I said, they had them all lined up, and so you can choose folks. And so
he's referring to Topanga and MS opening.
Yes, episode number 1,
Yeah.
EP1. Check it out. So they gave us an option to choose, which is a rare opportunity, but it also means that you kind of have to quick sort who you think is going to be the biggest opportunity. Put your chips down on whichever number you think is going to go, and end up with that. And luckily, we ended up with an amazing SA so far. She's been very, very good. So, but I chose her because I knew that, one, she looked like she had enough experience. Later on, we found that she moved from other stores, which is also a good sign. A news from other, Hermès before. So she has that kind of experience. She had comfortable shoes on, and she had a name badge with the dangly parts too, which means.
I think she has a name tag. I've seen when at the store has a name tag, but I think most of the time in Europe we'll see some sort of tag. I don't know what tag was.
I think maybe the tag indicates what language they speak.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Time to go back, I guess.
Some of the other things that I look for in an SA, do they have an assistant? Right? If you see them working with, like if they have the person who's like running off, a runner, and they're running back, like that's always a good sign, right? Because the newbies, they don't get the runners. The newbies are the runners. Yeah. Other things that I think are really positive signs that you have a good SA. So let's say you're already kind of in the introductory, this is the first time you're meeting with them. Some of the things I would look like, do they have a lot of experience about quote a bag? Are they talking about some of the bags that they've seen or how they've helped other clients get those kinds of bags?
What are the questions that you screen those people to show that like, oh, I know stuff, they know stuff? Obviously, they're gonna be like, basic training, right? MS, SA, get basic training.
Yeah.
And they would have to screen people. Screen clients. It's like, okay, I just want Kelly, I want Birkin,
Yeah.
What are the questions that you normally?
I think that for us, you and I, and me as well, is starting to have a conversation with them about the bags and the things that we mutually appreciate about the bags. I think that if the SA doesn't have a lot of experience, they're not really able to contribute that much to that conversation.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. So when you're talking, because we've seen some, and that's totally fine. Like everyone's new at some point. That's totally fine, right? Yeah. But especially for us, where we're in limited situations when we're traveling, like you don't want the new SA because I mean the likelihood they're going to get you something is very, very, very small. They just don't have the skills to navigate the internal systems or the external systems. Sure. So yeah, I think that one, just having a conversation with them about the bags will oftentimes bring up pretty quickly how much experience and understanding they've had with these bags. Sure. Also talk to them about your previous experiences buying these bags. If you've gotten quota bags before, they will oftentimes chime in with kind of their own anecdotal stories and things like that. So that's a good sign that they have experience.
And I guess another thing is that they engage.
That's right.
It's not just like, you babbling and then they just like,
Speaking of babbling, yours truly, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it. Also, other SAs will show them deference. I think that's a good sign as well. It's like you're interacting with your SA and so, like another younger member of the team comes up and says like, and they're like, oh yeah, and right? Those are all good signs as well. Yeah. It shows interest in your Hermès experiences because oftentimes the SAs that are the best SAs are the ones who are also excited about Hermès and they get involved in your story about what you're looking for in your bag and how your collection is growing and what you're looking for that. Yeah. And then also they will, one of the best signs you have a good SA is they start throwing in like probing questions, kind of in their head sorting you, saying, what can we possibly get for them?
What box is this person gonna be in? Like, they'll
ask, they'll ask questions like, obviously after you get your story down, you kind of tell them what your experience is, and those are all super valuable things. I know a lot of people, you will hear appointments in Hermès and hear people being like, oh, this is what I went to the other boutique and I got this bag and I got that bag, and it feels like they're bragging. But really what it is we're giving information to the SA to help them sort out where we fall in the line. And those SAs will ask probing questions like, would you be willing to go with an exotic bag, right? Or what sizes have you gotten before? Do you feel comfortable with these sizes? What about your color palette that you're looking for? As well as they will ask you sometimes, are you interested in other bags, right? And there's a multiple reasons why they would do that. But they start to send out those kind of probing questions so they can put in their head, they know what they have available, presumably, or to some degree. And they want to see if they can match it up with that and also kind of, make the most sales as well. And that's fine. That's part of the deal. Mm-hmm. So that is, to me, is one of the key ones. If they're engaged in your Hermès quest, then that's a good sign that they're good SAs.
I think another thing that people might not think about it because they were just like, oh, you know what, we need to stick with just one SA just because, commission whatever through just one. Yeah. But I think maybe this is from our experience of one of our SAs left the company. Mm-hmm. So maybe, I'm not saying that you should buy from the SA, but maybe get to know the SA in the same stores. Kind of had your eyes like, okay, in a sense of like, maybe get to know other SAs in their store, just in case, because you never know. Because this happened to us once. Yeah. And we were like, oh, what do? We
Yeah.
don't have an SA because she left the company, you know?
Yeah.
So,
That is definitely a big problem. If all your eggs are in one
Yes.
basket, then you're in a situation. And, of course, it's difficult to sort that out because it costs money to develop a relationship, like like being married.
Sure.
Any relationship takes time and energy, and you only have a limited amount of it,
Correct.
right? So it's definitely something we would recommend if you can is develop a relationship maybe somewhere else,
just
or
know
a
the
casual
name.
relationship,
Yeah,
yeah.
just be like, hey,
Yeah.
like, you know.
or also, I mean, if you really, the best way to do it is if you can develop a relationship with the manager.
Sure.
Right, because even once that SA leaves, or if that SA
The manager
leaves,
has
the
all
manager
the
will be like,
say.
"Hey, this person's cool. They got the cool,
Yes,
right?" Yeah.
yeah.
So, you talk to your SA. Oftentimes, the managers walk around and they go, "Hey, how's it going?" If after you see them a couple times, they'll
Yes,
recognize you.
definitely.
Last time we were in there, there's guys like, "Oh, hey, what's up?" I go, "Oh, hey, how you doing, man?"
Yeah.
Right, and those are the beginnings of those kind of relationships, and kind of fortify your relationship with
Yes.
the boutique,
Yeah.
rather than just the SA.
Yeah.
SAs are important, but they come in and out.
Yeah.
They have lives too.
Yeah.
They don't just chain up inside the boutique.
Mhm.
So that also brings up the question is, or that actually, now that I think about it, one of the things that I really notice that they do, if they like you, if the SA likes you, and if they don't, they won't, is they have business cards. Because if they don't like you, they're like, oh, I'll get you one later.
We don't
Oh, we don't do business cards,
We
yeah.
like do digital ones
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
because-
we've had that one in Paris. I had that experience where the lady was very nice and she helped me, and we ended up getting something. But
you went on your own.
I went on my own, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, we don't do business cards." What do you mean you don't do
Yeah.
business cards?
Yeah.
You do business
Yeah.
cards. It just we don't do business cards with you. But you end up with a lot, right? You end up with a lot of different cards over time. And
This
again,
is not all, but this is just
we
like
spend-
the important ones that like
Yeah.
I save. I don't know why.
oh,
I
this guy
saved
was
them.
nice. Yeah. But yeah, we end up with a lot of cards. I think that if people see people who deal with Hermes often, they will have in their phone, for example, a lot of saved SAs,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
numbers, and things like that. And again, it in many ways it is kind of a dating game in the sense that yes, of course, you have your primary person, but there's situations where those people disappear. And
And a double good one, it would be something like these one that they give you their work phone.
oh yeah,
So
yeah.
most of the time, MS business card would just go to the store.
Yeah.
It's go like.
And it goes into the abyss. It just goes into the black
Yes.
hole. Yeah.
But if you get the one that's there's like, oh, let me write down this is my work
Yeah,
phone. So that's
yeah.
like a good 10,000. Like this
Yeah.
person this SA wants to develop relationship with you.
Yeah.
Rather than just here and then take it in and
Mhm.
be the
I mean,
phone.
the thing is that there are many. I mean, there's an SA out there for everyone. There's a lid
Sure.
for every jar,
I
right?
feel like SA topics we can go on and on.
Oh,
for
we're gonna
days.
go on and on.
Yeah.
We're gonna go on and on.
Yeah.
Not in this video, but we'll make more videos. So that brings us to the last question for today, which is, how do you know when you should break up with your SA, right?
That's
Because
a whole video.
that is going to be its whole video, but I think we can kind of
Sure.
touch on it a little bit here, because there are moments where it's just time to go your separate ways, and it's not always because the SA is not good. It may just be that you or them are not a right fit, right? It doesn't work out. My primary suggestion is try to make that decision as soon as possible, because the longer you wait, if the longer you get involved with them, the more purchase history you have with them, the bigger, the kind of drama would be, even if there's not really drama, but there's drama, if they see you come in and work with a different SA in that same store. Or you basically just have to leave and go to a different school district. I mean, different. You have to go to a different boutique. You know what I mean? Because if you could early on, I don't think anyone would take it personal if you meet with someone the one time and nothing really happens and whatever, and you come back in another day and you get assigned a different person and you decide to stick with them. We've done that for sure a couple times. But if you develop a relationship with them and you develop like a purchasing history and you've gone through all the steps, then that makes it more difficult. But there are still times when you got to do it. So I guess let me ask you first: when do you break off that relationship with them?
When?
Yeah.
Oh, I think if it were me by myself, not
Mhm.
you, with me, I would not pick an SA. I would not make a purchase until I pick the SA. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So I would not make any purchase at all. Zero.
Well, you saw that with us, right? We went to
Yes,
this boutique
yes,
multiple
correct,
times
correct.
before we said, okay, now let's set up a legit appointment to
So
get this and that.
I
Yeah.
don't think I would want to like dip my toe in yet.
Yeah.
So me, I will pick an SA first and then start buying.
Yeah.
That would be my
Yeah.
that would be my route. Yeah.
What are the signs that it's time to break it off with your SA?
I don't know, because have we done?
I think that there's essays that we've not gone back to revisit.
Sure, but
I've talked to a lot of essays.
Sure,
and
sure.
Yeah.
Probably just first, obviously, the personal interaction was not there. You don't feel like they want to. They feel like they didn't want to deal with you, I guess.
Yes.
Especially because most of the time we go in and we don't buy anything.
Yeah.
Most of people are just like, oh, like, why are you wasting my time, you know?
Yeah.
So that's one screen.
Second one, just a note of that, by the way. They may, if they view it as wasting their time,
exactly,
then it's not right.
Exactly.
Because even Hermès is like, oh, we're focusing on to get a Kelly or Birkin, we want to develop a relationship with you.
Maybe it's not that, but that's how I felt.
Well, that's what they're telling us too. They're like, oh, it's about. I mean, when I went to Las Vegas, it's like, oh, it's about having a relationship, so you can get those Kellys and Birkins, or quota bags, whichever one they are. I guess Constance too.
Sure.
But if they're like, oh, this is a waste of time, it means that they're not realizing this is a relationship.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like sometimes you feel the vibe from them.
100%.
Because most of the time we go in, we want to kind of feel it,
Yeah.
and then we're not gonna buy anything
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
So again, yeah.
We want to see how responsive they are
Correct.
when we text them, when they text
Yes.
us back. We want to see how they interact with us at our appointments.
Yeah.
You know, they want to see how engaged they are. So all those things we talked about, what we look for in a good essay,
Yeah.
are things that are triggers for us before we buy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
100%.
Yeah.
So if you're getting the inverse of that, if they're kind of like, okay, what do you want, right? Or you don't see them run to the back and run back to you and then run back and run back. If they're not willing to run to the back multiple times.
It's like we don't have anything.
Yeah. Yeah. If they're just like,
don't have anything, we got that multiple times.
The Vegas win. He's like, we don't have anything. And no, they literally didn't have anything on the stores.
Sure.
But he was just like, we don't have anything.
Yeah, and it just not even trying to offer, you know, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, there are times where I think maybe you do vibe with the SA, but they're just not in a position to offer you any of those quota bags. And the relationship in many ways is about productivity, and productivity in this case is a quota bag. And so even if you do vibe with them in some case, even if you're spending a lot of time with them and spending a fair amount of money with them, you know, if they're not productive at some point, then you may have to consider going somewhere else, right?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So it's not always like, oh, they're not interpersonally working with you.
I guess to me, my gauge is about maybe close to a year and see how it goes. 1 year.
Yeah, should definitely give them a
I think
chance.
it's fair. Obviously, this person has to get all the screen from us first.
Yeah.
Like we know, okay, this like vibes right.
Yeah.
Like responsive. Always try their best to offer us, oh, you'd be interested in this, we would do this and that, you know, and see if a year would these effort that we put in will become fruitful or not, you know.
Also, and internally on their own side, they have their own criteria for what good clients look like and all that process as well. And maybe you are a good client, but if they have a list of other clients who are they're spending $100,000 a year, I mean, they couldn't really honestly justify giving you a bag while not giving it to someone else who wants that same bag. Right? So you're essentially waiting for a bag to show up that nobody wants or is willing to take, and the likelihood of that is super duper low. So you could be vibing with them very well. They could be a great SA, but they could just be in a situation that they just can't provide that bag to you because you're not that tier level of a client. I think at some of those bigger flagship stores like Beverly Hills or Madison or Rome or Paris, I mean, that's what they're dealing with. All right, so that is it for today. Our conversation about SAs, and again, the conversation could literally go on forever. There are so many aspects about interpersonal relationships, and then you throw the fact that there's like a shopping experience and that there's competitive of the bags. It feels very human, actually. The whole process feels very human, and it can be frustrating, and it can be interesting, and it can be exciting, and it feels damn good when everything comes together and you get the bag, right?
When everything comes through.
I love it when a plan comes through. Yeah, but it doesn't always work out. And I think that's kind of what makes the Hermès quest juicy, right? That's what makes it exciting, is that you don't know whether you're always going to get it. It's super frustrating. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but that's part of the enjoyment, the frustration of it, at least from my side. So, all right, so I think that's it for today. And I really appreciate everyone who's watching these videos. And if you're out there and you like the content, you like the bag footage, you find some of this information helpful or useful, especially if you're maybe newer or you've never really thought about the process this way, we'd love to see any of your comments down below. Also hit that like and subscribe so you get notifications when our newest videos come out. And other than that, that's it for me today. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.